support him, too, when he's doing a great job. He finds a lot of great stuff for the show.
That's right.
Why don't we get into the Allan Sniffen thing, Anthony? You want to explain the Allan Sniffen thing?
Allan Sniffen.
We have a lot of critics out there.
Of course we do. Allan's a guy, he, surprisingly enough, is a dentist in New York here. Is it New York or is he in Jersey?
I don't know. I think
I don't know where
north
he is.
of the city, maybe.
But he does. Oh, maybe up there. He has a website, the New York Radio Message Board, which he likes to call the Mecca of all radio message boards. And what he does is he runs this board, and radio insiders and people that just enjoy radio and people that have no clue about radio go there and post things about the state of New York radio. And we're brought up on there a lot, and there are a lot of critics there. There are a lot of supporters. And then there's Allan, who moderates the board, chimes in with his opinions. But for some reason, Allan's opinions, he feels they are fact. He feels that once he lays down an opinion, you are silly or stupid if you try to debunk it in any way, shape, or form. So the subject came up about our show, and if we're delving a bit too much into politics and talk radio that you might more likely hear on Imus or Rush or our buddy Sean Hannity. And that XM hired us to be the shock jocks that we are from WNEW, doing the crazy things, the 55-gallon drum challenge, things that got us fired like Sex and St. Pat's, just all that debauchery.
Naked girls on a beach in Buffalo.
Exactly. That we should be doing that because that's what we were hired to do. That's what's going to get XM the subscribers. And if we change the formula of the show, it's going to turn off the core audience that is supposed to be subscribing to XM, and that's why we were hired. And that's Allan's opinion. People have tried to get on and argue it, and Allan just will not have any of it. And as a matter of fact, that whole string of posts that were up on the subject got deleted.
He got his ass handed to him in that debate. Allan got his face smashed. He lost it.
Yeah.
And he took the whole thing off. It's despicable.
Yeah.
To run a message board like that. Somebody brings it up. They say it was a fun debate between, Norton and Mark Maron, just commenting on it. He jumps in trying to be the poignant one. Hey, I don't think that's what that show's supposed to be about. Whatever that nonsense is he wrote. Gets the shit beat out of him with examples.
Yeah.
And then takes the whole post off.
Takes it down.
Yeah, well, it all started because there was a 15-minute heated discussion on politics, and Allan assumed because he heard 15 minutes of politics on our show, he didn't hear it, okay.
Of course not.
That we were turning into Imus, who used to do the shocking thing and now does a lot more political stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And our argument is, no, we have talked politics in the past, and we will continue to talk politics when it seems right to do that, and we also will do all the other stuff. We just throw it all at you. Throw it all out at you. No agenda here.
Show's a smorgasbord.
But for some
smashed.
reason he thought we were now trying to become some kind of political talk show.
Yeah.
Which is so far from the truth.
And what's annoying is he talked about what XM hired their show for. This is what XM wants. So the offer was made to Allan, and so many of these message board guys are just cowards. And I mean, he was invited on this show today to debate it. Nobody would have attacked him. We had Bill Donahue on, Richard Huff. Nobody attacked either one of those guys.
No.
Nobody was going to attack Sniffin. And we had Eric Logan ready to come on as a representative of XM and to explain what this show is hired for. And I don't care what excuse he gives. Well, that would have been an unfair debate. You're a coward. You were invited on to discuss your opinions, which you post hiding behind a computer screen, and you wouldn't come on, man. You wouldn't even respond to go, look, I can't come on because of this. There is nothing that makes me sicker than people who will languish in anonymity behind message boards and not actually just come on and speak their minds. It makes me want to fucking throw up.
Bravo. Yes.
And you would have been given a fair shot, and you were told that.
So also this dentist, he wants to be a radio star, so it's not good enough to just run the message board and have postings all over the place. He also does something called, what is it called again? His board reflection.
What's it called? Right. It's called Hiding in My Basement. That's what it's called. It's called Hiding in My Basement with a jingle.
He records a board reflection, which is like that week's topics, the hot topics.
The hot topics on the New York Radio message board, and he records it somewhere in his basement and then plays it. I guess he posts it on his site, and people listen to it and then comment on his comments.
Right.
And his voice is very. That's one thing I like about the Board Reflections is it's a realistic voice he uses, and I like that. It's not a put-on voice.
All right, well,
it is a fake radio voice kind of thing that he puts on.
No, it's good. I like it.
Here's a tape of his last Board Reflections when he was recording it down in his basement.
Mom! I'm not the Lord. I have to do this now. Mom, please stop calling me.
Very good. All right, so here we go. Without further ado, it's Allan Sniffen and his Board Reflections with the silly jingle.
Here's Allan Sniffen.
And this is Allan Sniffen. And I've got Board Reflections for August 18, 2005.
MusicRadio77.com.
That's right, Board Reflections, where I make comments about comments being made to the New York Radio Message Board, the mecca of all Internet radio message boards, things being discussed on the New York Radio Message Board.
Wait a minute. Voice is great.
Did he add echo to his voice?
Yeah, of course. He wants it to sound like the old style Music Radio 77 WABC.
I never heard the echo before. There's a slight echo behind him.
He's getting his production values up. He has a jingle. This is a guy, believe me, people, he doesn't have a radio show. He's a dentist. The guy's a dentist. But he puts the production together. He's got a jingle. We don't have a jingle. Look at the jingles we have.
We had a jingle. Yes, we certainly do.
Oh, yeah, let me find
our
jingle.
jingle.
All right.
I won't tolerate these jingle lies.
All right, hold on. No, I'm not playing that one now.
No?
That's the one.
No, that's not the one. This is the one.
Oh. Anthony! And Norton, too! Good times, great hits, XFTO2! Suck my fucking cock!
Now that's a jingle.
And then, of course, there's this one.
I love them both.
They're beautiful in their own ways.
All right, so that's the jingle, yes. Anyway, is Allan Sniffen trying for a golden ticket, by the way?
Oh, this could be a golden ticket audition.
Golden filling is what he wants.
All right. Back to the tape.
I guess, once again, I was brought up on the Opie and Anthony show for comments that were made on the New York Radio Message Board a few days ago. You know, I was forced once again to remove an Opie and Anthony thread, and I will continue to remove Opie and Anthony threads if Opie and Anthony fans continue to behave like idiots.
I got to tell you, we have made his message board very popular over the years.
Yeah.
Without those dopes discussing us, there's not much else to discuss in New York radio.
And why can't you just take off the offensive posts? If there's posts in there that you don't like, fine. You moderate your own board. But I read about 15 of those, and they were legitimate. They weren't O&A crazy references. They were real debating posts. They were about the show and about what's been done on the show, and they debated and debunked what you had come on and said, which was an unsolicited, I don't think they're turning into idols.
Anyone that posts and supports the show, he labels as an O&A fanatic who will just, push the show no matter what. Even people with legitimate points about the subject.
A lot of these guys show a lot of intelligence. I love reading those.
You lost the debate, Alan. You lost it. I read it, and you won most of them. You're very good. You lost that debate.
It makes me very happy when some of our pests attack in a very intelligent way.
Yeah.
It makes me proud.
You need to behave like idiots. You behave like an idiot on this board, you're going to get pulled. And I'll pull the whole thread if I have to, because I haven't got time to sit there all day long and remove dumb posts. Okay? So those of you who are fans of Opie and Anthony, if you want the threads to stay on the board, then post something intelligent. Don't just post, I'm a fan of the show and I love everything they do, because that's what most of you were doing.
I didn't see one post like that.
There wasn't
one
post like that.
I didn't see one post that just said, I'm a fan of the show and I love everything they do. They were giving examples of what we do that isn't political talk. Yeah. They were giving all those examples. They were giving examples of why we can talk about politics, because the structure of the show is that there's really no structure. We hit on everything. But he assumed they were just fans.
And if you went on the board and posted about Cousin Brucey, how you love Cousin Brucey and all he did, nobody would complain. But because it was about the Opie and Anthony show and it smashed his point, he removed it. And that's why you removed it. Tell the truth. Be honest with your listener.
Because he hasn't... He likes us. I mean, he appreciates what the show is. It's not like he doesn't like us personally or anything like that. I've emailed him, a few times and gotten emails from him. But for some reason, he's got this thing when the board starts talking about us a lot that he really doesn't like that.
And he was very fair when the show got booted, too. He was the only guy that was really
great.
fair, if
He was
not
great to us.
completely inaccurate. So we like Allan. I mean, but it's just, come on, dude.
Most of you were doing. You were not addressing the point of that thread, which was not started by me. It was started by somebody else who basically said they heard a segment on Opie and Anthony where they spent a great deal of time discussing politics with Mark Marion from Air America. Look, the point that person was making is, this was great talk radio. Okay, if you like political talk radio, I can see that. And I also understand that to some extent Opie and Anthony are capable of doing that kind of talk radio. So I'm not dissing anybody here. But my response and the point of that thread was not to have a bunch of Opie and Anthony fans come on and say the show is great. We don't need that, okay? We know you think that. That's fine. You got your own message boards. Go there and post that if you want to. The point of the thread was whether or not political talk radio was appropriate on Opie and Anthony. Now, there were a couple of people that did make some valid points there, such as they've got a lot of time to fill up, such as the show needs to be more than just talking about boobs and so forth, that they need to be, they're not really shock jocks, and they need to go deeper, and this was an example of that. The show has got to attract an audience beyond just those who want to talk about the voyeur bus. Okay, reasonable points, and some people made them, so good.
Reasonable points?
Perfect points.
That was the
Perfect
point.
points. Not reasonable. They were the points. And then in one breath he'll say something like, the Opie and Anthony show, it's got to be like a hang with your friends. It's got to be, that's what he says, it's almost like you're hanging with your friends. Well, when you hang with your friends, how many of you just go, fart, fart, tits, tits, pussy? You joke about that, you talk about loads, you talk about farts, and then you talk about politics, you argue politics. That's the way people hang out. That's what people do.
You make a good point. We didn't become very popular in radio by just doing the shocking things. Those were the attention getters. And then
People remember those.
Then we had to keep your attention in between the shocking things. That's how we worked.
That's right. There was at least...
If we just did shock, we would have never been syndicated all over America. XM would have never picked up this radio show. It's a lot deeper than that, this program.
And as far as what XM hired them for, Logan was ready to come on and honestly say exactly what he likes, what he doesn't like on the show, and what he was, and then Allan wouldn't come on and hear that. Why do you have to just do it on the message board? Why can't you just come on and talk about it? You run the message board.
He deletes the whole string of posts, and meanwhile, the board is full of, what type of processing is Z100 using?
It's just dog shit.
It's like the worst. Wait, has Q104 changed its compressor? Whoa, let me get in on that discussion.
Which station in New York do you think will be the next oldies outlet? Just the dumbest crap.
Jersey Pirate Station cutting in on a signal. Whoa.
There really are
Is
some...
Christian rock viable in the New York market?
What?
New York needs a standard station.
Right. Are there too many home of rock and rolls in the tri-state area?
Country coming to the Big Apple?
Which one is the true home of rock and roll, in your opinion?
Cousin Brucey to Sirius.
I long for the old days. Shut up. Shut up. It's just the worst. You think we're joking. Get me the New York Radio message board. What are you pointing at? Oh, my God.
Oh.
What are you pointing at, Hawk?
He's got to post it.
What's that note?
Oh, okay, that was all right.
All right.
All right.
You smashed me back good.
Attaboy, Eric.
I did want more than just one, though.
Way to hit back.
I want to just show some of the topics they're discussing today, because you think we're off base here.
Let's see.
Right.
It probably speaks volumes. Nobody noticed this, but... ... CD 101.9, although still calling themselves New York Chill, is no longer playing chill music in their regular rotation.
How about this one?
They're now back to all smooth jazz. Discuss.
Look at this one. What is the Fordham student experience at WFUV? What?
Wow.
The Ted Brown Air Check tribute is now posted.
Who the fuck would actually write that and hit send? Do you understand? I would rather read stuff off Perverted Justice than that awful message board.
Pat St. John's website address change.
Yes, it's pervertedjustice.com. If you want to read about Pat St. John, that's where you go.
Talk show best ofs. How stupid. Well, you're going to get a whole week of those right here on 202.
How about announcement? about New Jersey Radio Museum.
Ooh.
I want to go to that museum.
Ooh.
I don't even want to go to the museum. I just want to talk about it on the message board.
One of the first HD table radios to be available next month. Yes, it's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how much is it, Ope? Don't leave us hanging.
WINS, then and now. It's a fucking news station.
Wow.
There's going to be a Binghamton Broadcasters reunion.
Are you kidding?
That he made up. That couldn't be posted.
Last call for your remembrances on the Ted Brown air check.
Fucking.
Does WNEW's current format make sense? Revisited? They're revisiting that topic, Anthony.
Revisiting.
It goes on and on. Let me see here. Oh, you did the forum thing. XM expands Latin stations.
Ooh.
There's a topic just called "But Seriously, Folks."
Haha, I get it.
What is this, Jeopardy? 19 years ago today, it got hot. WLTW hires Mike Fitzgerald.
Oh.
Radio outsourcing, that does not work, people.
There is an entire separate board off of this one that is just dedicated to WCBS-FM because they were getting so many posts about the oldie station here in New York switching formats to Jack.
What's that one over there say? What am I supposed to listen to while my grandson changes my diapers?
And then there's a question on this board. Public radio playing oldies in the future?
Could Eddie Trunk be moving from XM to Sirius? Posted by Eddie Trunk.
However, a little asterisk. If XM lets that happen, they are really stupid.
Yeah.
Eddie's great.
We've been getting the Eddie Trunk phone calls.
Oh, my God.
And the problems. What's the deal? Why isn't Eddie on?
Dude, to be honest with you, Eddie does a great show, and he's popular. How many overnight guys on a weekend actually bring listeners?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. We get it, Eddie. You want to work with us. We're working on it.
It's ridiculous.
All right.
Advertising to older demos?
Just goes on and on and on. Where's the... Hold on.
This one just says, food for thought. Ugh.
I think there's another thread that has our involvement.
Wait, Anthony, what is food for thought? I mean, you can't just leave me hanging like that.
I know. I did just leave you hanging. Food for thought.
How many responses? A lot, right?
Whereas younger listeners are more likely to purchase a new cutting-edge technology, and whereas Jack is a younger demo targeted at the format that's pre-'80s oldies, wouldn't it have made more sense to put Jack on HD and leave oldies on traditional radio?
Here's how that post should have went. Food for thought. I'm a horrible bore who should either get blown or kill himself.
Here's one, Anthony, that concerns us. WCBS TV reporter Arthur Chien to WPIX 11. And then the post reads, he finally got a job after being canned by Channel 2 when an O&A prank spooked him into using the F word live. Talent prevails.
Yeah, he's really gifted. They just didn't know they hired him. He looked exactly like the other guy that came in for the interview. Nothing?
I was interviewed by Arthur many times when I was an official of the Transport Workers Union in Manhattan. A brighter, more dedicated young professional would be hard to find.
But
Arthur,
not impossible.
If you read this, I am happy for you and wish you many, many years of the success you deserve.
Wait.
He's on the New York cursing chink message board.
Hey, wait. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Look at this cool post. It says, hey, Allan. You shouldn't be cutting too many farts. Do more political talk.
All right, let's get back to Allan Sniffin's audio, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Spread a Lysol.
But that's some of the topics they are discussing.
They're going to lose their core audience if they spray Lysol.
bus. Okay, reasonable points, and some people made them, so good for you. But here's the thing and my point in all of this, and that is you've got to remember that Opie and Anthony are working for XM Satellite Radio. Satellite Radio is all about subscriptions. It's not about demos. It's about subscriptions. You know, we talk about broadcast radio and demos, and we just beat that to death constantly. Well, Satellite Radio, it's all about subscriptions. They don't care whether you're 80 or 8, just so long as you sign up. So,
hold on.
Opie and
On
Anthony,
that note,
in my...
On that note, I just want to comment also, everyone says that, and Allan says that now too. Early on, up until, I guess pretty recently also, Allan was correct. Satellite radio was, and XM satellite radio was all about subscriptions. At Sirius, probably is the same thing. They're probably all about subscriptions right now. XM has passed a point, a very important point in their history, where it isn't just all about subscriptions anymore, Allan. It has crossed over into, now you have a subscriber base that needs to be entertained. They need to be entertained with the product that they subscribed to. Early on, it's just about getting people. It's true. You had to get the subscriber base. But now it's about entertaining the people that you have on board. That's our job. Our single job here isn't to pull in subscribers. That's part of it, but it's also to entertain the people that we already have. That's what we're doing. By doing sex talk, by doing political talk, by talking about whatever we talk about on a talky basis.
It's honest.
Right. That's it. It's not all about subscriptions like Allan is saying. Thank you.
You're 8, just so long as you sign up. So, Opie and Anthony, in my view, were hired by XM to do their WNEW kind of radio. That is, this outrageous, line-pushing, over-the-limit kind of stuff. That is what they were hired to do. If they stray from that, and I'm not saying they aren't capable of it. This has nothing to do with saying they can't do it from a talent point of view. I guess they can. That's not the point. The point is that their job is to get people to subscribe to XM. Therefore, they had better do what XM hired them to do, which is to do the WNEW kind of stuff they were doing 3 or 4 years ago before the Sex for Sam incident. That is what people subscribe to hear from Opie and Anthony. Now, they may subscribe to XM, different people, a different audience, to hear political talk, but they're not going to subscribe because of Opie and Anthony if that's what they're interested in. They're going to subscribe because of the other channels on XM satellite radio. So my point here is not to diss their show, which evidently is how it was interpreted, because whenever I say anything critical about Opie and Anthony, they interpret it as some kind of attack. I'm not attacking them per se. Yes, they may be able to do that kind of talk radio, and maybe you can make an argument about why it'd be a good thing for them to do it. The point is it's not a good thing for XM. Now, it may be that XM wants them to do this cross-promotional stuff, to interview people from other channels in an effort to try and increase the visibility of those other channels. People made that argument. If so, and XM is who is suggesting this be done, then XM is wrong. XM is wrong. Opie and Anthony need to do what they do.
He's just a babbling idiot.
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
This is a babbling idiot.
Same guy a couple years ago would have said that XM is going to fail, or he would have said satellite radio will never catch on. You don't understand the fact that Logan and those guys, if you're talking about what they want, they love when both sides of the show, or there's more than one facet to the show.
Right.
They were terrified that this show was going to do exactly the same type of shit it did at NEW and self-destruct. Yeah. The fact that they find out that it's not that, they are relieved and happy. They love to hear that stuff.
This is a fact. Eric Logan would love if we did less sex. He would absolutely love that. Yeah. That's just his opinion, you know. But that's what he would like. Less sex, more funny.
It's not so much about the shocking stuff. It's the attitude of the show. That's what it is. It's not the blatant, shocking event.
It amazes me that people forgot that we did serious talk at NEW.
We did 4 years of radio over there. We did just about 4 years, right? 4 years of radio over there. And you could pretty much count all of the shock things we did that are very memorable, if I may say, on one hand.
That's right, if you were holding a calculator.
Yeah, there were the event, and you remember them, but it certainly doesn't fill 4 years of material. We did other things. it's not the stuff that sticks out in the memory like the shocking events did. That's why we did the shocking stuff. It brings people aboard. It gives you the memory, the things people remember. But in between all that stuff, we were talking politics. We were having fun. We were just making jokes. That's what we do now.
They do. They need to attract attention to themselves for doing their limit-pushing, off-the-wall stuff. That's what they were hired for.
Oh, my God, and we're doing that. The whole assault of the media. We got a huge splash in the press yesterday over that.
No, but that's wrong, because he criticized that assault in the media. Because, it's like you are attracting attention, and you can't do it that way.
Someone brought up a great example. Said they had a wheelchair-bound cripple in a bathtub shoving a dildo up his ass.
Reading the news.
If that isn't the furthest thing from Sean Hannity's show.
Yeah, he listed the things that this show does.
Yeah.
Which, when reading them, it really is a reprehensible program.
Awful show.
Yeah, that's when you realize we really haven't changed that much.
Just disgusting.
Off-the-wall stuff. That's what they were hired for. That's what XM brought them in to do, because that appeals to a specific demo, a specific group. When I say demo, I don't mean from an advertising point of view. I mean a group, what they hope is a large number of young adult men who are turned on by...
A large amount. That's key right there. To get a large audience, you have to be very diverse. You really have to be diverse.
And it's not a conscious decision. No one sat down and said, let's talk more about this, less about this. It's like maybe it's a good thing about the show, maybe it's a fault, but we just kind of do whatever we feel in a moment. Like, if we want to talk about something or we want to go in another direction, that's what we do. It's organic. Nobody says, all right, we got to talk politics, guys. Too many tits in the last year. No one says that on breaks. It's never planned like that.
Of young adult men who are turned on by that kind of radio. They need to do their thing to get that group to subscribe to XM. If you want political talk people to subscribe to XM, which I'm sure they would like, they want anybody to subscribe, then you have channels that are dedicated to that kind of talk, and those channels will try and get the political junkies to become XM subscribers. Just like the oldies channels will try and get people who like oldies music and country channels. And that is the reason why diversity on satellite radio is a great thing. The more channels you've got appealing to different groups, the greater your chances you'll hit something that everybody likes, and lots of people will subscribe.
On a show isn't a good thing.
Exactly.
Like, we're doing exactly what he's saying is good for the platform on a smaller basis on our show. It's diversity. We're not trying to just target one type of demographic. We never have. Everyone used to say that, oh boy, O&A, they're, it's great for young teens, that listen and like fart humor. And then you look at our ratings, and we were doing great across the board.
Number one men, 18 to 49, always.
Yes, 1849.
49.
And
number one men, 25 to 54.
Yeah. We're not
That's
trying
a far
to
cry from
pigeonhole
teenage
ourselves.
boys.
We never have.
What you don't want to do is dilute those individual channels. Having Opie and Anthony discussing politics is like playing the current hits on an oldies channel. It doesn't fit. It's not appropriate. You got to stick to doing what you do, what you were hired to do.
He is a knowledgeless ass when it comes to this.
What we were hired to do,
was entertain people.
Yeah. That's what we're hired.
And I get a lot of emails agreeing or disagreeing politically, but I never get emails, or very rarely do I get them. Go, why are you guys talking politics? People don't think that way. People aren't that stupid that they can't listen to politics, especially from a couple of asses who are just opinionated boobs.
Right.
We don't hide behind that we're absolutely correct and we're geniuses. We throw a lot of fucking anger into it, and a lot of knee-jerk reactionary nonsense, and a lot of completely politically incorrect, vile things which other people think.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be great?
I'm sorry.
Wouldn't that be great if Alan, some guy came in and said, I have a cavity in one of my molars, and you go, sorry, I just work on incisors. I don't go back by the molar. That's a different thing. See, I'm trying to put it into something you might understand, Alan. We touch all the teeth here. All the teeth on our show.
And the gums,
And the gums.
So I don't know whose idea it was for XM to be, or for Opie and Anthony to be doing conversations about politics with Dick Cavett and Mark Marion or whatever. I don't know whose idea that was, whether it was XM's or whether it was O&A's.
You also don't know what you're talking about.
Mark Maron, first of all, is a friend of ours.
He's a comic.
I've seen him at the Comedy Cellar many times. We invite him in. It just happens that he does a show on XM as well. And Dick Cavett, we had him on for over an hour. Did we even talk politics with him?
No.
If we did, it was for maybe 5 minutes out of an hour. Maybe.
We used to have, what's his name, Ackerman on our show. On NEW. Remember him, the politician?
Oh, we never
from
talked
out on Long
politics
Island?
with Louis Black, right?
And that was politics. When Louis would come in,
That's
we
all
were
it was
constantly
about.
at each other's throats about politics.
The show is pretty much the same as it was.
He just doesn't. What he's saying is wrong, and he's trying to back up a point which he lost in a debate.
Gary Ackerman.
But
Right?
Mark Marion or whatever, I don't know whose idea that was, whether it was XM's or whether it was O&A's. But either way, it's a bad idea. Not because they can't do it, but because that is not what XM needs to be doing. XM needs to be appealing to Opie and Anthony's primary target. That is young adult men. Stick to that. That's what will get you.
And they don't want to hear about
subscribers.
politics, Alan?
Of
Young
course.
guys
And that's
don't want
it
to
for
hear
Word
about
Reflections.
politics from
Send
time to
comments.
time?
You can make them on the New York Radio message board, or you can email me, asniffin@computer.net. In the meantime, this is Allan Sniffen saying, remember, you don't happen to make it, you make it happen. Make it happen this week, and I'll see you next week.
asniffin@computer.net.
He makes Dr. Laura sound like 50 Cent. You can't make it happen. Happen to make what?
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 Huh?
What was his email? I didn't hear it.
asniffin@computer.net, I think.
Oh.
Oh, good. All right, cool. Where is he? Get him, Ben.
What?
This guy, Jim, from Minneapolis, the problem with your political chat is that you guys sound like a typical bunch of whiny New York liberals.
What?
I mean, no such thing as liberal media bias. You guys are all over the U.S. now, not just in New York. This idiot has no clue that we are the furthest thing from liberal.
New York liberal. Who wrote that? Hitler? How the hell do you say this show is liberal? God almighty, compared
Jim
to what?
P. from Minneapolis, who obviously doesn't listen to the show.
What is Jim P? Why are we liberal? Because we actually allow the races to intermingle? You idiot.
Can we get Eric Logan on, too?
Jay Pitzner
Work
at
on Logan.
Comcast.net.
Logan will personally tell Allan Sniffen why we were hired.
Uh-huh.
And if we did 2 out of the 4 hours was politics every day, he'd have a very valid point. But nobody's. It's like you're not listening to the show and you're making that assessment. It's just not accurate.
Right.
Alan.
Yes.
There he is.
Is this the first time you've been on our show?
I think it's the first time I've been on live with you. Yes.
Right. We just played your board reflections.
Okay.
Now, Alan, I read all the posts, of course, and your point was way off the mark. It was, if, like Jimmy said, we had done political talk every day, a couple hours a day, then you'd have a point. This show has always been, not just on XM, but always been about variety. We do the shocking stuff. We talk about the sex. There is the fart humor. But at the turn of what? The turn of a screw, coin, flip of a coin,
Right.
the drop of a hat.
Turn of a voting booth.
we turn it around and we talk about politics or anything else that might be of interest to anybody listening to the show.
Well, first of all, anybody listening to the show is the wrong word. You're looking for a certain group of people to listen to your show. You're not marketing your show to everybody. You're marketing it to young men.
How young, Alan? What do you think our demo is?
18 to 40, roughly?
Nope, it's 18 to 49.
Okay, so...
And probably
should
on
be
XM,
for
it's probably a little bit older. Probably skews older than that.
What skews older than that, your listeners?
Yeah, probably on XM
probably
because
on
the
XM.
technology is...
Yeah, but the reason you're on XM is to attract a young male audience. That's what they hired you to do. You're not there to talk about politics. You're there to get young adult listeners.
See, that's where we
young
disagree.
male adult listeners. So
That's where we
if you're
disagree.
gonna sit there
It has
and
to
talk
be
about politics. That's not going to get it done for that group.
Alan, it's 18 to 49. That's not young men.
It is, because the vast majority is not between 40 and 49.
Oh my God! You have to go to one of our gigs to see for
30.
yourself that it's a much bigger variety than young men.
It may be a bigger
To begin
variety, but the vast bulk of your audience is not between 40 and 49. It's between 18 and 40. You know that as well as I do.
And, Alan, you do realize that our goal is not just to get subscribers at this point. That's part of it, but it's also to entertain the people on the platform. You can't
Well,
just get subscribers and not give them anything for their money.
Now, if you think that, then you think wrong. Your goal is to get subscribers.
It is also to entertain the people that are on the platform.
The reason you entertain is to get subscribers. The point of your show is to get subscribers. It's true for anything on XM or Sirius for that matter.
But that's just like broadcast radio saying that the point is to get ratings.
Yes,
that's
that
true.
is absolutely correct.
But the only way you're going to get that is by entertaining the people.
Okay, so you're saying what you're doing is you're saying entertaining to get subscribers. So the bottom line is to get subscribers.
But you're saying get subscribers like people should listen, like that's a valid point. Who doesn't know that you want people to listen? I mean, nobody would say that, debate that.
But my point is that if you talk about things that don't appeal to the audience that you're targeting, you're not doing your job.
Why do you think that doesn't appeal to people
young
who
men
listen?
don't want to hear about politics from time to time, Alan?
Potential subscribers are not going to subscribe to Opie and Anthony to hear a discussion of politics.
Do you really think, let me ask you.
Hold on, Alan, you can't have a monologue. You got to let us discuss this with you. Shut up for a second.
Do you really think that we talk politics, or if Ant and I are talking politics, do you really think that we talk about it the way Rush Limbaugh would talk about it? Do you really think that we talk about it without any humor or without any vile, awful references that we normally make?
I think when you have Dick Cavett on, you're not doing the kind of stuff that the
Alan,
majority of your audience
you
wants
have to
hear.
listen to the
That's
show
right.
before you comment about it. You know that we had a discussion with Dick Cavett for about an hour. It was very interesting. And if we did talk politics with Dick Cavett, it was for less than 5 minutes.
Okay, well then Mark Marion. I mean, it's the same difference.
Mark is a friend of ours that we've known for many years
And he's a
from the
stand-up
Comedy
comic.
Central,
Yeah, but
Comedy Cellar, and the guy is a very funny guy. And we did, he was very funny, and then we went down the political route for a little while.
That's the problem.
No, it's
Alan,
not.
what are you
young
talking
people
about?
want to hear about politics just as well as older people.
Alan, don't you realize that when you are hanging out with your friends, that besides talking about tits and ass, that occasionally the war comes up and politics and
But
who's in
people
office?
don't turn on Opie and Anthony to listen to hear about the
my
war.
God.
But they hear about it in our
Opie and
inimitable
Anthony
style.
To hear the excitement of whatever you guys can come up with, it's on an outrageous level.
But it was
That's
never.
the book.
It was
That's what
never
gets people
all
to
about.
listen to
It
you.
was
True.
never 100% about that, Alan. Even our old show, we would discuss politics with Louis Black when he would come in.
Very rarely, and not for an hour.
No, because we had a lot of spots to play.
Between Dick Cavett and Mark. you were
No,
doing
shut
this-
up, Alan. I just
We
told
had-
you what it was. Dick Cavett was less than 5 minutes, and Mark Maron, if I was going to, honestly, maybe 20 minutes. Maybe. So that's a far cry from an hour. That's probably 25 minutes to maybe a half hour. One lousy show during 1 week of Opie and Anthony.
Well, it's not appropriate.
That's pretty much
Let me ask you a question.
not
All right.
appropriate. We're not playing commercials
Let me
anymore.
ask-
Well, it's
as
not
well.
appropriate. What are you talking
Let me
about?
ask you a question.
All right.
Would you go on and play classical music for a half hour on your show?
Dude, that's such
Awful
a bad
example.
argument.
You know what? Some of
No,
some of
that
your
example
audience might wanna
stinks,
hear
and you know it.
classical music as well. So does
Yeah,
that
but
mean
Alan-
you would go on and play that for a half
Alan,
hour?
let me. I'll answer that. There's no way to inject the personality of this program into playing classical music.
And I would
There,
make the same argument if you're going to talk politics.
but there's a way to inject our personality and discuss it as the Opie and Anthony show and not the Rush Limbaugh show or the Sean Hannity show. There's a way to discuss politics and keep it funny and even a little perverse or whatever. To discuss it as the Opie and Anthony show is not the same as Rush Limbaugh.
We don't hide behind being political pundits. We speak our minds honestly, and sometimes it's really vicious. Rush, all those guys, none of them speak viciously about what's going on, and we do. That's because we're honest.
I don't think you have a good
Well,
perception of
once again,
this program.
The real issue here, though, that you must keep in mind is it's not just about who's listening. It's about who will listen because, again, you need to get subscribers. That's the name of the game in satellite radio.
And
So
Alan,
if you're going to go on there and talk politics, I would
Oh, my
submit
God,
to you
Alan,
that you're
Alan.
going to have a harder time selling the show to prospective listeners
All right.
than you would have if you were just sticking to what you normally do.
Alan, you know they're very happy with us down in Washington, right?
Well, I
we've
don't know
been-
if they're happy with you or not.
And we
I
haven't
don't
changed
have
our
any
show
like
since
feelings
day
about
one
that.
at XM, so we're doing something right because they're coming aboard like crazy, okay?
Well, you know, XM, how many
Like
subscribers does XM have in total
crazy.
right now?
They're going to hit 5 million by Labor Day.
Okay, 5 million. I mean, that is a drop in the bucket
No, it's-
relative to the total.
That's
number
5
of
million
radio listeners
subscribers,
out
and
there.
according to some serious research, each subscriber represents 2.3 listeners.
Even if that's true, and I would doubt that, but let's say that's true.
It's actual stuff
It
that
is still-
they use on Wall Street.
it is still a drop in the bucket relative to the total number of radio listeners out there. My point in that is that your job, XM's job, not just yours specifically, the job of satellite radio is to get more of the non-subscribers to subscribe. That's the prime directive right now. So if you are doing stuff that does not fit what people would like to hear from you, that is prospective listeners, not current listeners, you are not going to be able to attract a larger number of subscribers. If people hear that Opie and Anthony are on there talking politics, I would submit that the likelihood that you're going to get more of those potential subscribers goes down than if people hear that you're out there talking about the Boyer bus, as an example.
Yeah, Alan, how about this?
That's what people expect to hear from Opie and
Alan, our assault on the media is getting a lot of attention. That's a shocking thing. That all the New York papers wrote about it yesterday again.
Yeah.
So we're doing that part of our jobs as well.
I didn't say you weren't doing your job.
We've always been about variety, Alan. You know that.
I didn't indict your entire show.
Do you know it's also we're there to entertain the platform, like I said, but also people that have subscribed already that don't listen to our program, that then troll by it, or a friend tells them about the show. They come on board, listen, like what they hear, and tell somebody else about it. It's really the same chain of events as regular radio is.
It's a big difference from regular radio because you got to pay. So this is nothing like regular radio. If that's what you think wrong. Because you're asking people to reach into their hip pocket and shell out, what is it, $10 a month plus startup.
But as far as word of mouth goes, it is the same. If you entertain people, they will tell their friends that they were entertained, and their friends will then...
And suppose people hear that you're talking politics on the Opie and Anthony show. What are they going to say to their friends then?
They were going to say, I heard something very funny today.
Well, that's assuming that they thought talking politics was what they wanted to hear on Opie.
Alan, you're painting with a wide brush
you
here.
You got to give our listeners a little more credit. They know how to describe this show to potential new listeners, Alan.
We don't discuss the politics like you're thinking. We don't sit here and put the 1010 wins ticker behind us and start talking news.
We've been on 3 hours today. I don't think we've talked politics yet.
That's good. I'm glad.
And that's
I think
usually
it's a mistake when you do.
Not at all.
So you think that we should never mention politics on the show?
I don't think you should devote entire segments to it.
How long? Okay, let me ask you. On a 4-hour show, say 3 hours and 35 or 3 hours and 40 minutes of content, how much time would you say is appropriate to talk about politics when there's a war going on?
I mean, have you stopped eating your wife yet?
I'm asking you a question.
Answer that
I'm asking you.
Say, oh, that's ridiculous.
No, I'm asking you.
I'm telling you that you need to.
I'm asking you.
And you're not going to get to the promised land.
I'm asking you for a number.
That you're talking politics.
What is in your mind a reasonable amount of time?
Yeah, have you stopped eating your wife yet? No matter what I say, you're going to, say, oh, that's,
You could still give an answer though.
Doesn't count. I'm telling you.
Why would you interpret my response instead of just answering a question?
Your job is to project an image that will attract.
How much time is appropriate?
I'm not going to answer that.
Why?
I'm not going to.
Why? It's a very valid question. You're saying as long as it's not for an entire segment. So my counter question is, okay, not appropriate for an entire segment, so how much time do you feel?
I don't think you should discuss it at all.
Okay,
you're so wrong.
It should not be mentioned at all.
No.
You're so wrong.
That doesn't make sense.
Well, okay, see, now I answered the question, so now you're going to say it's ridiculous.
No, I'm just saying it doesn't make sense.
You're wrong, and you lost the debate on the message board, and that's why you took the post on.
My point is not to get into a discussion of you about how many minutes you should discuss specific items on your show.
Why not? If you're mentioning it as if it shouldn't be talked about.
You're going to let me finish now?
Yeah, you can finish.
Yeah, let Alan.
My point is that the image that you need to project needs to be one that will attract potential subscribers. If people who don't listen to your show but are familiar with it hear that you are talking about politics, I suggest that they are going to be less likely to subscribe if instead they heard that you were talking about the Voyeur bus, meaning that you've got to live up to your reputation in terms of potential subscribers.
Okay, so you mean that
politics doesn't live up to your own reputation.
You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong.
Yeah, I know you don't agree with it, so we don't have to agree.
Alan, you lost the debate on the New York message board because there was one post where the examples were given of things that are done on this show.
Yeah.
And why was that taken off?
I am not indicting your entire show.
I'm not saying you are. I'm asking you why was that taken off?
Everything was taken off because, as usual, some, not all, but some, of your lemming-like fans instead of coming on and
Alan, you don't want to
the
piss him
point
off.
that we were trying to make,
You really don't want to
instead
piss him
came
off.
on there with the usual baloney about, oh, how
You're
great
playing
Opie
right
and
into their
Anthony are, and
hands,
they
and
can't
you
do
don't wanna
anything
do this,
wrong.
Alan.
Okay,
I
so-
don't need a
Don't do
board
this,
full
Alan.
of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So why
I
not
didn't
just take off the
one
offending
kind of
posts?
photo.
called
I took
pests
it
for a
all off
reason,
because I
Alan.
didn't
Don't
need
do
the
this to
hassle of
yourself.
removing that nonsense. That's why I got removed.
Really? So it had nothing to do with the fact that you were kind of losing that debate because people were raising examples.
Have you ever seen me back out of a debate? Am I not on the phone with you this morning?
I just saw you.
When have I backed out of a debate with
Since
you guys?
you
know
took
better
you
than
took
to
that
say
off the
something
board.
ridiculous like that.
Do you beat your wife? I'm not going to answer that question.
Alan, it's Opie. I think you're way off on this point.
No, I don't expect you to agree with me. That's okay.
We'll just say this: we'll agree to disagree.
That's okay.
But I do want to thank you. You really did support us in our time off for when we were in
Well,
hiatus
at least
there.
you know that when I support you, I really mean it because I'm not a like follower.
But you're not listening to the show. You're making a judgment on something that somebody told you.
Yeah.
You're not listening to the show on a regular basis.
I'm making a judgment based on what people who listened to the show objected to.
Really? So is that how you judge things, by what other people tell you?
In this case, there were people who listened to the show who
Alan.
came on the New York radio message board and criticized this particular segment.
Alan,
So your own listeners were
No.
criticizing.
Now we're telling you that you had it wrong. You thought Dick Cab was politics for a while. Ope corrected you and said, no, that was maybe 5 minutes.
So now you're telling me that my point would be valid if you had talked politics for a greater length
Yeah,
of time?
Jimmy.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we said that before. If we talk politics, Anthony said that before. If we talk politics for X amount of time every day, an hour, 2 hours a day, you would have a very valid point. That was said earlier in this discussion. And we
I don't
would agree
think
with
you
that.
should be- I told you before. Your job is to attract new subscribers. You're not going
Alan.
to do that if your potential subscribers hear that you're talking
So
politics.
do you really think two guys are going to be
That's not
talking?
gonna get you to the promised land.
So wait,
I'm
do you
telling
think-
you,
wait.
you can jump up and down.
I'm asking you. Well, hold on.
I think you're wrong.
Do you really think two guys are going to be talking, and one guy's going to be going, hey, they were talking about the war. Forget it. I'm not signing up. Do you really think that's going to happen?
Yeah, I do.
No,
You're
Alan.
awful.
What I think is that if they don't hear that Opie and Anthony are pushing the limits
No,
and are
Alan.
getting out there on the edge on a
Alan,
regular basis, if they hear instead that you're talking about George W. Bush, they're going to say, you know what? I can listen to WABC and hear Sean.
No, you
But
can't.
you have to say
I
ABC.
don't
But
need to spend $10 a month for something I can get for free.
But you can't because it's not the Opie and Anthony show talking about it.
But prospective listeners, see, that's what you're not getting here.
I
You
am.
keep talking
Yes.
in terms of the
Alan.
people who are listening to your show.
No.
I'm referring to people who have not listened to your show, who have not yet subscribed. You need to project an image to get them to subscribe.
God, do you not know what
They
you
haven't heard your show.
People who have a
Well, let me ask you a question. Isn't it at least possible that some of those potential subscribers aren't going to walk away thinking, you know what? If Opie and Anthony are talking politics, I'm not going to bother being a subscriber.
But the
Isn't
break
that at least a possibility?
It would be if the break before or after the politics break wasn't something.
But they don't know that, Anthony. That's my point. They're not listening. They can't hear you. They are, I said, potential subscribers.
So
not current listeners.
can't there be a potential subscriber that hears us talking about something shocking and thinks it's horrible and shouldn't be listening?
Your subscribing base? No. Because that's what they're subscribing for.
So you really
they're
think-
subscribing to hear you push the edge.
You think
they're
that
not subscribing to hear you talk about politics.
You think somebody's going to hear a break and hear politics and then just tell everybody they know they talk politics, don't sign up? Do you really think that's realistic?
That people who do not subscribe to the show now, who you need to appeal to at some point to get to subscribe, are not going to if you're not doing the stuff that the show has a reputation for doing.
And this show is doing that
when
stuff.
you stray from that focus, you are decreasing your chances of attracting new subscribers.
So why'd you take that part off the message board where the guy was talking about wheelchair Fred putting a dildo in his ass and all these other awful things that we do? Why'd you take that off? It was,
I took everything off.
I know. Why?
I told you before.
You were losing the debate.
Because the board is getting jammed up with the O&A lemmings that everything that you do is perfect.
No.
I don't need a board.
Oh my God, that's
Boy,
so
you
not
just
true.
said that, you
You
just said some of our listeners criticize the show. In one breath,
Yeah,
you're saying
some
they're
of
all
them did.
lemmings, and the next you're saying they criticize the show. So which is it?
Trust me, they criticize all the time,
How
Alan,
many
on a
listeners
regular
do you have?
basis.
More than one listener, Jim.
Yeah.
So some criticized and some supported.
Alan.
What was happening is, as usual, if any criticism
Where's Eric
comes up
Logan?
at
We
all,
need him right
we
now.
get the same
Let me
people
get out of
coming
this
on
fucking
there
meeting.
and saying the show is great no matter what. So, I don't need a board full of that. We weren't having a discussion. We were having the O&A army coming on there and explaining to everybody how great the show is. That's no longer a discussion. That is just a hijacking of the thread.
No, I read about 15 posts, and it was accurate. You would rather have guys like Josh just agreeing with you.
No, that's not true.
It was accurate. accurate. I read the first at least 15.
And the fact that you read them meant that I left it on there, didn't it?
Yeah, then you took it off because you were losing the debate.
I didn't just take off the post.
You were losing the debate, Alan.
That were criticizing and the posts that were supporting.
You were losing. I read it. I read it.
Okay, you read it. I hear you.
You were losing.
To me. What I said is I removed everything.
Right.
The negative posts, the positive posts, whatever your point of view, I took it all off because the whack bag group was coming on there and invading the board with ridiculous support posts that weren't addressing the point.
Really? Like the one that listed the things that we do as well as talk politics? That wasn't addressing the point?
We're going to have the same discussion. I said to you 3 times already.
I heard you. I just know what you did. I know what you did, which was lose the debate and remove the post.
I removed everything.
Because you lost.
You would have a legitimate criticism of me if what I did was remove just the posts that are supporting you. But I removed the negative posts, the positive posts.
Because you lost.
So it was not something that was done on an editorial basis. It was done on a board management basis.
You lost
because
the
there
debate.
was just too much nonsense.
Right? Yeah, too much nonsense supporting the show. You lost the debate and you took off the post.
Jim, you're not listening. You're
I heard you say I don't agree with you.
Talking and talking, and you're not listening.
I'm not the one sitting in a basement alone. I did hear what you had to say.
What is that supposed to mean?
You know exactly what it means.
Are you trying to imply that I'm sitting in a basement alone?
No, I did imply it by saying it. An implication would be if I hinted around it. Saying it is what I did. I said sitting in a basement alone.
You don't know very much about me if that's what you think I'm doing.
All right, well, I forgot there's an echo. Maybe it's a big basement.
If anybody's losing the argument, it's you, because now you're resorting to personal, nonsensical attacks. Stick to the point, and maybe we'll get somewhere.
Why? Maybe I could just delete the entire segment here if I lose the thing. I'll just delete it, and so nobody can hear it in the replay. I'll just do what you do. I'll lose and then delete it.
The reason that was removed, so you can keep saying the same thing over and over again.
We're just going to go around and around.
I know,
Alan. We're just going to go around and around here. Alan, thank you for coming on the show.
We respect you for coming on the show, obviously.
I'm happy to do it.
I got to tell you, we're doing...
Anything I can do to help the cause, I'm in your corner.
Alan, I got to tell you, we're doing quite well for XM, and only time will tell.
We won't agree on...
No, I'm not suggesting
and we're not going to
change.
honestly, we're not going to change our show. We know what we're doing here.
Yeah, we won't agree on our methods here and what XM expects of us, but that's just the way it is.
We don't have to agree.
You'll see, we'll be huge again, and that's because we know how to do radio. We're going to do it our way, not Allan Sniffen's way, okay?
Look, I'm not saying you don't
Alan,
have to do radio.
more
That's
important,
not what I said.
Alan, more importantly, was someone waiting this whole time for a cleaning?
I have the day off today.
Alan, whitening toothpaste, which one's best?
I would have just hoped that you would listen to the show
tongue
more.
Scraper?
I didn't hear it. What's that again?
Which one? I'm just trying to have fun now, but Jimmy still wants to
bite
your neck.
No, I don't want to bite his neck.
He's a little frustrated because he's not used to having somebody come back at him and put him in his place.
Do you really think that, Alan?
Hey, Tommy.
Hey,
you got to take that, Jimmy.
What's that? I didn't hear you.
I said when you're up to it, you can try and call me.
Give me your number.
Ooh.
Not over the air. You think I'm crazy?
You think I'm crazy?
My point was, if you had listened to the show more and then criticized it, but you just went by something you heard, and yet when people come back and support the show, they're O&A lemmings. If somebody criticizes the show,
no, that's not. No, then you're not reading the board as well as you think you are. The O&A lemmings are people that are unable to do anything other than post how great the show is without being specific or addressing the point of the thread.
Alan, our own fan
That's
sites...
not the same thing as anybody who supports.
Alan,
so Jimmy, you've got to listen a little more carefully to what I'm saying if you expect to respond intelligently.
I'm not used to hearing you without an echo and an awful jingle. Sorry.
I see. So now instead of addressing what I just
Hold
said,
on, my friends are laughing at my little witticism.
Off into some other area.
Hey, I have to, Alan. Remember, our job is to get subscriptions and keep it edgy. Just being shocking. I didn't want to talk too seriously. We might lose subscriptions. I better go for the laugh real quick.
Who is really losing this argument? You're having a hard time focusing here.
I just got a big laugh from all of my friends.
Personal attacks and the criticisms about other things.
I didn't personally attack you.
Stick with it, and maybe you'll do better.
I didn't personally attack you.
Hello?
Who's that, Ope?
Who's this?
Opie's taking a phone call, Alan, for some reason.
No, this ain't Victor. You got the wrong fucking number.
Oh. Okay.
You lose this number, please?
No, that's what, no. Alan.
Oh, bummer. Okay.
No, I was answering a phone call. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, Alan, thanks again for coming on.
And we don't have just lemmings. Our own fan sites critique the show on a daily basis.
I didn't say that. What I said is you have some fans who are lemmings.
Right.
That doesn't mean that everybody is. I didn't say that.
Don't you think some people on your board might be lemmings too and kind of just agree with you because they want?
There probably are.
Do you boot them when they do that? When they agree with you?
If they don't stick with what the point of the thread is, absolutely.
So if people are just going, Alan, you're right. You made a great point. You actually will delete the thread.
Absolutely. If they do it in huge numbers.
I've never seen it.
I think in general, Alan.
Maybe you need to read the board a little bit more often before you criticize.
No, maybe I just need to get blown less because that's what I've been doing.
There we go. Once again, not sticking to what we're talking about.
But wait, we don't want to talk about it for too long. No, I don't want to lose subscriptions, Alan.
You've got to focus on the point rather than drift off into those kind of nonsensical responses.
Wait, but what do you talk? That's what we do when we talk politics. Now you're saying it's wrong when we talk to you?
I'm saying it's wrong when you don't address what it is we are talking about.
Alan, I don't want to lose subscriptions. I like to get blown.
That are not relevant to the conversation.
That's very relevant to the conversation.
To the point.
I get blown a lot. That's very relevant. See, shocking radio.
God.
All right,
Very
Alan.
good, Jimmy. I think that last sentence pretty much sums up your position.
Yeah.
Alan,
Good job.
The whole time I was thinking, and you know what? I'm going to pardon you today.
You're going to what?
Pardon you.
Okay, thank you.
Because the listeners have been asking through this whole segment if we should attack.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put out the word, Anthony, that we're going to pardon Allan Sniffen today, and we will not be attacking him and his fine message board, all right?
Well, I just want to make it clear, while I'm still on the air here, that I have frequently supported you guys in the past, and I'm not an enemy of the show. If I criticize a segment of it, which is what I'm doing in this case, that doesn't mean I hate everything you do.
We understand that, and we respect the fact that you came into a hostile environment to try to make your point. So
I'm willing.
All right.
I don't think it was that hostile an environment. We just disagreed.
That's okay. It wouldn't be any fun if we agreed. What would we have to talk about?
Cavities?
There you go.
All right, Alan. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wait, Alan?
Yes.
That's classic.
All right.
Love it.
I think we've said enough. Drew Boogie, get us out of here for a while.
This channel is